What up, gang? In today's video, I'm going to be giving floors and ceilings for the top 10 quarterbacks in this upcoming draft class 2026. Let's go. The number one QB on the board is obviously Fernando Mendoza. For his floor, I have it at Geno Smith. For his ceiling, I have it as a slightly more mobile Matt Ryan. Fernando obviously has great size, great decision-making, a high IQ. He's very efficient with the football, and he's NFL rated. He's also got great toughness and can run a little bit with his legs, but just a really good overall prospect. No really glaring weaknesses anywhere. Like I said, he's got really good touch with the football. He's got a whip of an arm, and he could really do anything. There's no glaring weakness that stands out in his game. The only concern I would have is him switching to an NFL offense. He was only under the gun for 3% of his snaps, but let's not get it twisted. Although this guy may not have like an A-plus skill any particular spot, he doesn't have any weaknesses whatsoever, and he has a really high floor, and that's why I gave it as Geno Smith. Geno Smith, at least with Seattle, was a competent quarterback, and he was a top 15 quarterback at one point. I think that's worst case for him. Best case, he's a guy that could potentially push for an MVP like Matt Ryan did, and with a little bit more mobility, because nowadays we don't really see any statues in the draft that often, so those are his floors and ceilings. Number two quarterback on the board, Ty Simpson. For his floor, I have it as Zach Wilson. His ceiling, Brock Purdy. Now, Ty Simpson, he's 6'2", 208. He's posted anywhere in the 4'6", 4'7" range. He's a little bit undersized for a quarterback, but he's very accurate. He has good timing with the football. He's very good anticipatory thrower. He can throw in tight windows, and he has good ball placement. He's very accurate and has good touch with the football. He's got decently quick feet as well and some takeoff ability. He's not the fastest, most explosive athlete, but if the pocket breaks down, kind of like a Purdy, he can escape and find some room to run and make the play go on. He's also got a really good quick release if you're looking at short to intermediate throwing. Now, for his concerns, he's not great when playing under pressure. He could force passes, and he's not really an A-plus prospect in any regard. He's got a lot of solid tools, though, to potentially turn into a very good quarterback, but overall, he's just a little bit undersized and still a little bit raw. For Floor and Zach, both these guys were looked at in high regard. Both were good athletes. They're the same exact size, but they both don't play with the best quarterback IQ, and they can kind of get backyard football baller vibes and kind of just throw the ball up if it all goes to shit. There's a reason Ty isn't looked at as an elite quarterback prospect, but he definitely plays, in my mind, in a similar fashion and has equal bust rate as Zach Wilson. Now, with Brock Purdy, it's simple. It's if this guy can translate to the next level, gain IQ, take the easy throws, show his mobility, and really flash that touch, which we have seen him have at Bama, he could turn into a Brock Purdy. There's a reason he's the second-ranked quarterback in this class. Brock Purdy's a top 10 guy, and if it pans out for Ty and he's able to translate these skills and mental makeup to the next level, he could be looked at as a potential Brock Purdy player. Number three on this list, we have Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. For the floor, I have him at Spencer Rattler. His ceiling, Baker Mayfield. Nussmeier obviously had a great 2024, but this past season it wasn't very good. He had injuries and poor play all around. This guy stands a little bit smaller as well, like Ty. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, and he's supposed to run a 4'9", 40, so he's not the best athlete by any means in the world, and he's not the biggest quarterback either. Both are causes of concern. But he does have a very quick delivery. He's got great anticipation. He can get the ball out quick. He's good with pressure, and he has a really good feel in the pocket, a little more than Ty, and he's got decent touch, good accuracy, and ball placement. The problems are with this guy is he's a below-average athlete. Like I said, he's kind of on the smaller side, and he does have some mechanical issues that he showed this year. His deep ball was terrible this year at LSU. He could also leave the ball a little too high to let DBs close it on his receivers if it's not in a good spot for him. And he doesn't really stand out in any crazy regard, kind of like Ty. He's slightly undersized. He's got a good arm. He's not crazy athletic by any means, but he's undersized and a limited athlete, kind of like Spencer Rattler. Spencer was a really nice prospect early on in his college days, and then it kind of fell off. We've seen flashes, but overall, he's not probably a good quarterback. For the Baker Mayfield ceiling, these guys are the same exact size. They've both showed real serious arm talent. They've showed real accuracy and ball placement skills, and they have that little bit of mobility that you would like to see. So if this guy hits, which he could going into 2024, we thought this guy's going to be a top 10 pick. Obviously fell off this year. If you want to blame it on injuries, his mechanical issues, so be it. But this guy does have upside if he's able to dial in his mechanics and get technically sound with the football. He can make splashes, and he can have potential to be a solid quarterback at the NFL level. Number four, we got Carson Beck out of Miami. This guy stands at 6'4", 220. His floor, I have Miss Kyle Trask. His ceiling, Mr. Nick Foles. Now, Beck can show he can be very accurate. He can place the ball in good spots when he does have a clean pocket. He's got pretty good touch. He could throw a good fade ball, but he doesn't have an arm that stands out in any regard. His velocity can be bad at times. He doesn't have the most zip on his fastball there. And then under pressure, he was also abysmal. In 2025, he had a 77 completion rate with a clean pocket versus 44% when pressured. And he doesn't have the best escapability. He's kind of more on the statue side versus these other two guys who are a little more mobile athletes. And when the pocket does collapse on this guy, he has shown a very poor IQ and the ability and knack to kind of just throw the ball up again and make really boneheaded decisions. His floor, again, like Kyle Trask, same exact size, good arm, but not the highest IQ play. And Kyle Trask, like Beck, had success in college, was a late day 2 pick. I see the floor for the same thing here on Beck. And for stealing Nick Foles, if this guy is able to be put in an offense with a good O-line, with weapons around him, time to really dissect the play, go through his progressions, he can be a solid quarterback. Obviously, there's a reason this guy's fallen in the draft, and he's not really supposed to touch the first or second round at all. But if he does hit, he can show, I think, Nick Foles' potential like we saw in Philly with Foles when he had a badass team around him. Number 5, we got Drew Allard out of Penn State. This guy's probably the biggest boomer bust prospect among all the quarterbacks in this draft. For his floor, I have him as Cardell Jones, and his ceiling is Josh Allen. Now, Allard's 6'5", 240. He's obviously got great size. He's a boomer bust project, like I said. He's supposed to run the 4.8, so for his big size, he is pretty mobile, and he can move around a little bit. And this guy, let's not get it twisted. He has a rocket of an arm, an absolute cannon, and can look like the best quarterback in this class at times. He's mobile for his size and just a legit live arm with velocity and arm strength. But the problems are, he had some really messy mechanics and bad footwork this year, which led to a lot of bad passes and turnovers, and he could be inaccurate, to say the least, at times, and really hasn't shown the best ball placement. He was also 5-7 against ranked teams, so when the competition stepped it up, this guy really wasn't able to deliver. Now, for the Cardell floor, they're both the same exact size, same exact 40 time, both had rocket arms, and both were looked at as major boomer bust prospects. Obviously, Cardell didn't pan out at all, and that could very well be the case for Allard. But if this guy does somehow hit and you could find a coach that knows how to dial in his mechanics, get the footwork in place, read the field better, elevate his IQ, this guy really is oozing with talent. And if I'm a team drafted in the 3rd or 4th round and I need a quarterback, I'd rather take a swing on this guy versus some of these other prospects just because of the pure high upside and high ceiling this guy has. 6th quarterback, we got Taylen Green out of Arkansas. For his floor, I have him as Terrell Pryor. For his ceiling, I have him as Josh Freeman. Now, Taylen is obviously a crazy athlete. He's giant, too. He sits at 6'6", 230. He's a legit rusher and a legit athlete. He also made some big throws over the middle of the field at Arkansas last year. Again, like Allard, he's a boomer bust guy. But he legit may have 4.4 speed at 6'6", which we don't see a lot, and that's why it was a little hard to find a ceiling for this guy. But like Allard, he has bad throwing fundamentals. His upper and lower body are never consistent, which causes him to miss passes, miss receivers, and can cause turnover problems. He's got a really long throwing motion, which can make it hard to get the ball out. And he hasn't shown great IQ or poise under pressure. Most of his 2025 advanced throwing metrics are all bad. He had a lot of turnovers. He needs to show at the next level he could just take what the defense gives him, hit the easy throws, and then slowly build his way up and build his arsenal. For the floor, Terrell Pryor, it's obviously, they're both crazy athletes. They're both huge. Terrell Pryor was obviously a receiver, but then went to a quarterback, and he just never made it happen, and this guy really has a floor that low. He could be a complete bust. But for his ceiling at Freeman, they both have the same size. They're good athletes. Freeman had a stronger arm than Taylen Green, but it was hard to find a comparison for this guy considering his speed and his size. So Josh Freeman was the easiest fit for, but I would say this guy might be a little quicker and a little less of a whip than Josh Freeman. But Josh Freeman still panned out to be a pretty damn good quarterback at one point in time. And if Taylen Green's able to take the steps, dial it in, his mechanics, and make the right reads, he could be a stud. All right, at 7, we have Cade Klubnik out of Clemson. His floor, we have his Matt Corral. His ceiling is Alex Smith. Klubnik is at 6'1", 200 pounds. He's got good mobility, a good arm with good touch. He's just not super strong and not an elite athlete, although he is a good athlete. Again, he's just very undersized, and his IQ hasn't been the best, and he's shown he can't do much in college without a run game, and he needs to speed up his processing and decision-making. Overall, he's a smaller, underdeveloped, fast quarterback prospect with a good arm, but you're really just banking on the traits to translate because we didn't really see enough in college for anyone, I think, to have a lot of confidence in this guy. And like Matt Corral, both really good athletes, both undersized. Corral obviously didn't pan out the next level. But if this guy is able to take the right reads as a passer and from a mental standpoint, he could turn into an Alex Smith. Alex Smith at one point in time, high IQ, not the strongest arm, but good ball placement and a sneaky good athlete. If Cade's able to take the next steps forward, he could potentially be on that trajectory. I would bet he's probably more on the Corral level, though, if I had to predict. All right, at number 8, we have Sawyer Robertson. For his floor, we have him as C.J. Beathard. His ceiling, Ryan Tannehill. Now, Robertson's a tall, athletic quarterback with a strong arm. One of his strengths, he's able to push the ball down the field. He can make big-time throws and take vertical shots. He's also got decent mobility, not great, but he is able to extend plays and occasionally pick up a few yards with his legs. On the flip side, though, he's still developing his consistency with accuracy. He can miss on timing routes or be late on read. He also needs to sharpen his decision-making under pressure, as he can force a lot of throws. In summary, he's a talented prospect with the tools, but he needs refinement to become a reliable starter. For his floor, we're thinking of C.J. Beathard, a backup-level quarterback who has arm talent but struggled with consistency and processing at the starting NFL level. And for his ceiling, someone like Tanny, in his prime quarterback with a strong arm, solid mobility, and able to lead the team if everything clicks and he has good pieces around him. All right, at number 9, we have Cole Payton. For his floor, I have it as Taysom Hill. His ceiling, we have it as Danny Dimes. Now, Cole Payton, one of his strengths, obviously, is his dual threat ability. He's got real mobility. He can extend plays and be a legit rushing threat. And he's also got a strong enough arm to push the ball down the field. He's also shown he's a tough player and has good leadership. But on the downside, he needs to really redefine his accuracy and anticipation in the passing games. His mechanics really aren't that good, and his ball placement isn't good either. This guy hasn't really shown us a ton with the arm. For comparisons, Taysom Hill, again, he's an athlete. He's a versatile player who can contribute but may not develop into a real full-time passer like Taysom Hill has it. And for his ceiling, it's Danny Dimes. They're both really good athletes. They're the same exact size and shown that if they have teams around them, they could fire at all cylinders. All right, last but not least, at 10, we have Luke Altmaier. For his floor, I have him as Trevor Siemian, and his ceiling being Andy Dalton. Altmaier's got a really quick release and solid mechanics kind of compared to some of these other guys. He showed real poise in the pocket and the ability to deliver intermediate throws with really good timing. He's got a better IQ than a lot of these guys on the list. But on the weak side, he struggled with decision-making under pressure, and he can force throws or lock into his first read at times. Like Trevor Siemian, again, not a big athlete. This guy's a little smaller as well, but I think for his floor, he could at least be Trevor to where he could be a decent backup and be a spot starter if you have the pieces around him. For his ceiling being Andy Dalton, both not great athletes, both showed they could make some throws when it's right. Again, this guy, it's hard to evaluate him, but those are the floors and the ceilings. If y'all like this content, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Love y'all. Peace.